So today we're going to look closer at Bergans Wiglo. This is a huge tent that's quite heavy. I have had it for 13 years. I've not been using it super much, but I've been using it in many different kind of situations. So in this review I will show you what I think is good with it and what I think is bad with it. And I'm also going to see who is the tent made for and who is not going to have this tent. If you're new to this channel, my name is Matti and I'm working as a nature guide together with my girlfriend Stina. We live in north of Arctic Circle in Sweden in a place called Jokkmokk. So this tent is 8.7 kilo totally. So it's a quite heavy tent, but it is 12, almost 13 square meters inside the inner tent. So it's quite big. You could fit 6 to 10 person inside this tent. So if you compare how heavy it will be per person, it's not a super heavy tent. Now I will put it up so we can look closer at it. This one don't come with the tent, this come with the canoe. Here is the door. When it's dark, there is reflections here, so you find easy where to put the poles in. That was the first one. When you see how heavy this tent is, you should know that it's not the lightweight things they're sending with you. So you could easily make it lighter. You just change this one, and the central pole for the middle of the tent, you change that one, because that one is iron. It's packed in bags like this. That's actually weight, it's not lightweight. And how much isn't this? And this is stainless steel, iron, not aluminium or carbon fiber. You can use it when you go bear hunting. Crocodiles, I don't know. Norwegian people, why do you do this? So heavy stuff. And now we open this doors. Yep. I fold it here. And this one. Now we actually also have this wind thing that you should put on the top there. I will not do that right now, but this will come over the top, as you understand, and you will attach it with small rubber strings, and they are really tricky to put there. I've seen on the newer ones that are a little bit smaller that they have changed it so this is included in the tent, and I think that's a really good idea, because this one was really difficult. It works very fine, but it's difficult. When we look in here in the tent, you actually see how huge it is. It is a lot of space. Also, even this entree is a lot of space. If you close here, you could easily store equipment here for a smaller group, a small family. You can have a cooking corner, and it's really spacey. Another thing that's really good is that you could stand up here changing clothes. That's not a problem. So this tent, it's a combination with a tipi and with a dome tent with the bows, and probably that's why they call it Wiglo. If you compare this with a tipi, I think that you could use the space much more out to all the edge in this tent, because in the tipi I have the feeling that it's much more dead space, if you understand what I mean, close to the side of the tent. Here you could really sleeping close all the way out to the sides. Another thing that I like with this tent, if I compare to tipis, is that this is easy to put up. If you have been dealing with tipis, it's a very annoying thing that they never get round. They always have the egg shape, and then some part of the fabric is hanging, and that's super annoying. At least I think it's super annoying. With this tent, because everything is fixed with the bows, poof, it's there. and you don't need to walking around and adjust it afterwards. So this is really easy to put up if I compare. The problem to do is to put the wind thing on top. Maybe it's also because I don't use it so much, so I don't have the real technique for that. But I don't reach it afterwards because I'm too short. I'm 172 centimeter and I'm a little bit too short to reach the top afterwards and hanging it there. I think it's a really good idea what they have done with the new ones is that they have put it there already from beginning. It's a different system up there. So I think that's much better than this solution. I haven't found this big Wiglos on the market anymore. I know they have one they call 8 or 6 and 4 or something like that. You had to check, but it's the same principle as this one. Some of the new one also have doors, extra doors on the side, and I think that's a super good idea also, because what we can do is rolling up everything to the bows all around. If you look at internet, you will see how they have done it. You're rolling it up and you get super much ventilation also. We had to look a little bit outside. If you look here, there is this kind of snow mats included in the tent. I don't really know why they have done it, but they have done it anyway. And I know brands like Hilleberg, they don't like you to use mats like this, because the tent is built for taking up the force in the ropes and in that places, not in the fabric. Because if you have this into the ground, this can rip here. So that's exactly what happened to us with this tent. We used it the first winter trip and we put snow over it, and when we digged it up, it was broken already. Took a contact with Bergans and they actually sent a totally new one for us, and we sent the old one back. It was no discussion about it. This haven't happened for us after that, so it maybe was some problem with the fabric at that time, I don't know. But they are really helpful at Bergans when it have been some problem with gear like that. All ropes are attached with like small triangles like this. The power from the rope goes all the way out here. So that's really strong if you compare to just putting a loop here. And it's actually the same what they have done here. You're lifting the whole fabric out here. This is really good system. It gets really strong and you get the tension straight into the fabric like this. Even in hard winds you don't get the fabric to touch the inner fabric. It's a lot of details like this. You see on the underside here there is a small pocket with Velcro where you can store the ropes that you don't need. This is really good, because imagine all these ropes when you fold it. It's just a mess when you take it up again. This is how the vent house looks from outside. You can put a rope here and attach it like this. And I haven't done that because it's not necessary. You can close them if you want. I always keep this open. And you have a couple of these ventiles, and you also have the possibility to keep the door open, and you have this huge ventile on the top. And as everybody knows, hot air goes up, so all the warm air goes up and out here, so you get rid of a lot of moisture in this tent. With these ventiles, you see them are also on the inside. You can fold it and put it away like this. This is how I usually have it. As I always said, I want to keep all ventile as much open as possible. But if you want, you can close it. You have several nice pockets like this. If you're not a big group, this is enough with pockets. If you are a bigger group, like 6 or 8 persons, it's not enough, of course. It's a very nice solution of this space here. The door have a big net also, so you can close the whole door with a net, and you can also close it totally if you want, because you have this fabric, also the yellow one, that is more windproof. And then we had to look at another thing. This fabric here is extra strong where the pole should be. I had it here before, but this one, it's a Velcro on here. You can open here and then you get access to the ground. That's super helpful if you want to cook inside here, because then you take this away, you maybe have a piece of wood or something, and you can put your stove and cooking your food here inside. I don't know why they have done this, but normally you don't want the stove inside, because if you flip a casserole with water or something, it goes into everywhere into sleeping bag. But here, if you flip it here, it just goes to the ground, so it's not a big deal. So I think this is really good. And as usually as I want to do when I talk about tent is talking about condensation. Tents with the opening up here are actually quite good with condensation. And also because you can change the wind hat like this. If you have the wind from the backside, it should pull the air out. So then you can, if the wind comes from that side, the opening should be in that side. You have good ventilation here, you have good ventilation all around. We have usually used it with 4 or 5 person, and during the summertime, because I don't use this so much during the winter, and then we don't have so much condensations. We have had 3 times when this have breaking down. One, as I told you, with the snow mat, when the fabric was ripped actually in pieces, but then we get the new. Another time when we had problem was during a very heavy storm, when one of the bow was crashed. It was heavy wind, and we maybe hadn't attached all the ropes perfect, and it is a huge tent, and with wind it's a huge, like a sail, so that was not strange that it break down that time. And when we contact Bergans about the pole, because we wanted to buy a new pole, they sent new poles to us, and they said all 3 for us. Once again, Bergans was super helpful that time to help us with the poles, so I can't complain. We could repair the pole out in the mountain, and it was not a big deal there, so we was lucky. And the fabric was not damaged either. And then we have a third thing that is a little bit damaged on this tent. I'm going to show you. It is up here. If you look at the fabric here, it is all around. I think it's because of 2 things. One thing is that it's quite heavy pressure on this one, you see? And it comes in contact with the Velcro. I just think that this is the super weak point of this tent. If I'm going to keep this tent and use it more, I probably had to attach a piece of fabric all around here to make it stronger, because this is not good. It's an interesting construction with the mosquito net here also. You can close it, and it's not coming in mosquitoes in this. This is quite safe, mosquito safe. So I think this tent is a really good tent for families, people who canoeing, and for people maybe having this tent in the car, because if you don't need to carry it, it's quite okay. It's also good for people who are fishing and going out with helicopter or so, where all the kind of activity when you don't need to carry this tent. It could be good if you are 4, 5, 6 person and you want one tent, then the weight is also okay. But it's not a 2-person mountain hiking tent, of course. My sister have borrowed it sometimes when she have been out with her whole family with kids and so on. And then it's really good. You can have the kids playing around in here, even if it's raining and bad weather or mosquitoes. 2, 3, 4 kids is no problem in this tent, as long as you're cooking outside. Don't have the stove on the same place where the kids are, because then it could be bad. We have used the outer tent for some tours in the mountain. Then we have all people sleeping in smaller Hilleberg tents and small tunnel tents. And we have this as a group tent. So then we take away the inner tent, we put out the flyer, and we dig out the snow. So we have a table in the middle, we have all the stoves here, and we could actually cook for quite a huge group inside this tent. And what I think have been super interesting with this tent is to put up a smaller inner tent inside here, to attach it somehow. Then add a stove jack, so you can have a small wood stove inside this tent. Then it has been a super nice tent for trips in the forest area. Maybe not when you carry stuff, but you have pulkas or you have a dog team or a canoe. in summertime, of course. So this is not the tent for people who spend a lot of time up above the tree line, because it is not the top-notch quality on the fabric at this model. Maybe it's better on the newer ones, and maybe the smaller models can stand more, because if you have a smaller tent, you don't have all this huge surface with fabric that the wind can catch. All over, I would say that this tent is really, really nice, and I love it as a group tent and as a canoeing tent. So I think that was all from me today. If you want to see more content from us, please subscribe, because then you get our videos. You don't miss them. If you liked it, give it a thumb up. If you don't like it, give it a thumb down. And leave a comment down there, because one thing, it helps the algorithm if you leave comments. Second thing, maybe you have some ideas about this tent. Maybe you have it already and have used it. Leave a comment and what do you think about this tent? Or just say hello. See you next time. Ciao.